Hey, Jesse. I'm
Hey,
here.
how you doing, buddy?
All right. How are you?
Amazing.
That's good. Yeah. Your question earlier about the free will.
How do we
I was just,
hold people responsible for their actions where there is no free will?
yes, sir. Yeah, I was just having a conversation with a good friend of mine, knew since college, about that free will. He's what you call it, agnostic, where you don't believe God. I forgot what agnostic means, but he's a good guy. But he tends to think that God, if there was a God, why would all these bad things happen?
Because there's
And
a Satan.
right, exactly. I agree 100. That's why I was telling him, but he was confused. I mean, and I'm just tired of God getting blamed for terrible human beings. Yeah. You agree?
I absolutely agree. They blame God for everything that's evil and nothing that's good.
Right. When the blame deserves on Satan, because Satan been corrupt and been in the ears and minds of human beings since Adam and Eve.
Yes.
Been corrupting human beings.
Absolutely. 100%.
Right. Right. So that I was going to answer that question, but I'm a black man. Obviously, I've been black my whole life.
You
Yes,
black?
I'm black,
Okay.
just like you.
As
Just
it
like
enters
you.
space.
I've been black my whole life, but I've been listening to your show for some time, and you mentioned something about you grew up in Alabama.
Yes.
And the Jim Crow laws, and it was actually better for black people and so on.
Yes.
My question, did you vote for Donald Trump?
Yes, sir. The great
Okay.
white hope.
Yes, I heard you use that, refer to him as
4
that.
more years.
Yes, okay. Now, but my question is, if black people were better off back then, if we were still in the Jim Crow, you wouldn't be able to vote for Donald Trump.
Why you say that?
Because you didn't have the civil rights to do it.
But you don't believe that between then and now things would have naturally changed from bad to good?
I don't think things naturally change. The civil rights, Martin Luther King and black people fought and clawed and protest and did all these things in order for them to change. There was even a civil war that occurred that ended slavery. So I don't think they just naturally changed. I think there was blood, sweat, and tears and hard work that caused it to change.
Did you know that I need some information. Did you know that, have you noticed that since this whole idea about civil rights movement started, that blacks have only gotten worse, that they have not gotten better?
Yes. Go ahead.
No, finish your point. No, you said yes. You noticed that blacks have gotten worse and not better, right? Since that
Yes,
whole
sir.
so-called Jim Crow law, right?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. And that's one thing that was probably good about Jim back in that era. I ain't gonna say it's good about the laws, because the laws were bigoted and racist. But I'm not praising the laws, but I am, to your point, I am praising that black people did have this stuff together more back then.
Yeah, and they weren't blaming anyone either.
Right. Well, I can't say that either, because if they weren't blaming anybody, it wouldn't have been no civil rights movement.
There should never have been a so-called civil rights movement. That was a setup from the so-called black people who wanted to be your leaders.
Right. Okay. But yes, I do agree with you that those black people marriages and husband and wife together, which
Yeah.
I think is important. And you, according to what I heard from you, you think is important for a man and a woman to be in the household. Am I
Absolutely.
right?
Yes, sir. When that
And
was
I'm,
happening, black people had sense. But when they turned their lives over to Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King, and all those people, they went downhill. Like now they're going north, and now they have no sense.
right. Right. I agree.
You said
Uh,
what?
Go ahead. No, I said I agree that black people, they have their stuff together more. I mean, back in Jim Crow law, I agree with that. I
And
don't agree with the laws.
I guarantee
I don't
you
agree with the
that.
laws, though.
I
Go
guarantee.
ahead.
I guarantee you that if it never had that fake so-called civil rights movement, because even with the Jim Crow law in existence, it was not stopping black people. They were working, they were buying land, they were starting businesses, they were going to school, they were getting married, they were doing their thing. But this so-called civil rights leader brainwashed them. Even it was a setup with that woman that they used to pretend like she was so tired on the bus and she went, I'm going to sit down in the front today. It was all a setup in order to, Rosa Parks, in order to control the blacks.
Well, that's getting into some type of conspiracy and setup.
No,
and
that's not a conspiracy. That's the real deal. They had another woman to do it, but they found out she was pregnant out of wedlock, and they knew that black people weren't going to fall for that. And so they had to find Rosa Parks, this another woman, so they found Rosa Parks. But there were white people in those days, too, that knew that Jim Crow law wasn't right. It was, and that it was wrong, and they didn't agree with it. Blacks and whites were getting along at that time.
Right. Yeah, the Jim Crow law wasn't right. And that's and as far as no racism now, that's something you and I are not going to agree. I grew up in Georgia, in rural Georgia. Okay, I had some experiences growing up in rural Georgia. The KKK marched through my neighborhood when I was a child. My parents had to hide me under the bed because they didn't want us to see it.
How old are you now?
I just turned 39 last October.
So 38 years ago, you experienced the KKK riding through your town.
Well, not even that long ago, because I was a child. I was already probably about 7 or 8, so it wasn't even that long ago.
Were they worse than the Black Lives Matter marching through our towns now?
I never experienced the Black Lives Matter.
And worse than the KKK, because they're burning, robbing, and stealing, and wanting to defund cops, and so they're worse than the KKK.
Well, I look at that as a protest group. They're activists. They're more hands-on than like a Colin Kaepernick that protests police brutality peacefully on the knee. They're more active with their protest.
That's what the KKK was doing. Except the KKK wasn't burning and destroying. The KKK was an activist group, too, doing what they believe and marching through the streets. What's the difference? The only difference is the black people are burning and destroying and killing and stealing and attacking cops. They are much worse than what the KKK marching through the street doing.
I wouldn't say that, because they're not hanging people from trees. That? They're not hanging people from trees because of the color of their skin. So I don't think that they're worse than the KKK. The KKK has been a hate-filled group, and the KKK was created because of free slaves. When slaves got freed, the racist whites were so pissed off that they created something called the KKK in protest the slaves getting freed. This is a generation of 400 years of
how are you
oppression.
Excusing Black Lives Matter but not the KKK when they both were, as you said, marching for the same thing? Black Lives Matter been burning businesses and attacking people, and they streaming dead cops. What do you want? Dead cops, and people going out killing cops as a result of that. And they
rewind that back. Rewind that back. I'm not excusing any of it.
But
what I'm saying is
you're acting like the Black Lives Matter is a little better than what the KKK marching through the street and protesting.
Yes, I do think the Black Lives Matter is better than the KKK.
Why?
Because the Black Lives Matter is action versus reaction. Something happened, and then they getting tired of 400 years of oppression, and it's built up into this. And then
Who
when
is
somebody
oppressing,
gets killed
KKK or
on
Black
camera,
Lives Matter?
on justified killing of a person that's on camera, then that causes these protests to happen. It's a reaction to an action by the police office, by the criminal justice system.
Tati,
They're not just doing this because
Tati,
they feel like doing
Tati.
it. They're doing it as a reaction to something that happened. You understand what I'm saying?
No, that's all lies.
Okay. So if George Floyd never got murdered, you telling me there would have still been a George Floyd protest?
They would have thought of some other reason to burn down the country.
Oh, no. See, now you're saying they're going to find. But the fact of the matter is, there wasn't no other reason.
Did you know that he was not murdered? Tati, did you know he was not murdered?
Well, unless my eyes deceive me, that the whole nation seen that vicious, very horrible video, unless the eyes was lying to us, he was murdered.
Don't believe what you see with your eyes.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I'm not defending what Black Lives Matter did.
Yes, you are.
I don't think that you. I don't.
You
I
are
don't
defending
condone,
it.
I don't condone violence. I
But
don't
you're
condone
defending what Black Lives Matter doing. Did you know that Black Lives Matter was started by a bunch of fat black radical lesbians who hate God, who hate unborn children, who hate nuclear family and all that? Did you know that?
Now that's funny because I actually learned that watching your show.
Hold on, buddy.
Yeah,
Hold on. Don't hang up. Hold on. Just a quick couple things, Tati. So you didn't know that Black Lives Matter was founded by a bunch of fat black radical lesbians who hate God, who hate the nuclear family, who hate the unborn children, who said that they were trained to be Marxist. You didn't know that until you heard me say it?
I did not know that there were two black women that was doing all that other category, what you label them as.
Why do you think that they hid that from you?
I don't know. It's not that I don't think that they hid it from me. I just think must not have done my research on it until I heard you say.
Had you done your research, would you still be supporting them?
With Black Lives Matter, I don't support their actions.
But you're not calling
stuff.
their action out as wrong.
I am calling it as wrong.
But
absolutely. Let me be clear. I don't condone any violence, destruction of property.
But they're no different than the KKK then.
No, that I don't agree. Because I think the KKK is on a different spectrum.
No, but people were killed under the Black Lives Matter riot. Even a black retired police officer, I believe he was a chief or something, I'm not sure. He was killed too during the Black Lives Matter riot, and people just stood back and watched him die on the street.
Well, that's why I say they're not the same as the KKK, because the Black Lives Matter.
Which is worse, getting killed by a rope or killed by some other way?
No, you're going to have to let me explain what I mean. The KKK is not a riot group. They're not protesters. They're self-described as a secret organization.
Ain't nothing secret about them.
They're self-described as a secret organization. Black Lives Matter is not no secret hate group. They are protesters against police brutality.
Those radical lesbians
Those are two different spectrums. Those are two spectrums of. Are you trying to compare apples to oranges?
So where is the love in burning down people's businesses?
There's no love in it.
Where is the love in saying, what do we want? Dead cops, when do we want it? Now, where's the love in that?
There's no love. Now, if you compare Black Lives Matter to the...
If you don't have love, you have hate.
If you compare BLM to the insurrectionists as the capital, now that's a good comparison. That's a good comparison.
Hey, come back.
Right. Okay,
if you don't have love, do you have hate?
Not necessarily,
what
but
do you have
I get what
if
you're
you
saying.
don't have love, you have what?
Possibly hate. If you got hate in your heart, I can see where you're going with that.
If
yes,
you
sir.
don't have, you
yes,
said
sir.
possibly hate. If you don't have love in your heart, you have what in your heart?
Possibly, I say possibly hate.
When you say possibly, what else could it possibly be?
You could be neutral.
What that mean?
I like you, Jesse. I really do. I think you could be somewhere in the middle.
In the middle of
You
what?
don't really hate of love and hate.
What else could you have? It's either love or hate. There's nothing else.
Oh, okay. Well,
You know that.
For sake of argument, I will say I will go along. I agree with you.
Did you know that early, and I was trying to get this information while you were telling me, but I have it now. Did you know that prior to the Civil War, that some blacks had the right to vote? That's according to Wikipedia. Did you know that?
Prior to the civil rights,
Civil War.
Yeah.
That some black, because it was based on if you had land or not. And so some blacks were able to vote. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Did you know that the Republican Party was started by blacks and some whites because of the Jim Crow law? They didn't want blacks in the Democratic Party. And so they started, the blacks and the whites Republicans started the Republican Party. And then at the time, there were black congressmen and black everything. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
And did you know that the primary reason for the KKK in the beginning was to stop the Republican Party because it was growing and it was defeating the Democratic Party. So they were going after the blacks then because they were building this party, not because they were black. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
You should watch Uncle Tom. There's a movie called the Uncle Tom documentary. You should watch it. They will educate you, man, on the truth. Because the problem is blacks don't know the truth. They're just believing all these lies that they're hearing over and over again. And if they were to hear the truth, then they would not be deceived by the lies.
Well, it's not all lies. What history?
No. Stay with
Black
me.
people was slaves,
come
and
back.
they were oppressed.
Come back.
They were oppressed.
Hey,
we still oppressed.
Tati.
Yeah.
If you search the truth, watch the Uncle Tom the documentary, you'll see the truth. According to the Time magazine, even Time magazine admits in their words that Rosa Parks was not just a tired woman who wanted to rest her feet. She was active with her local NAACP chapter who had been active for decades. And they speak about Claudia Coven. That's the original Rosa Parks, but she got pregnant out of wedlock. And that's not a conspiracy. I heard about that even when I was a kid, that they had to find somebody else because the blacks were not going to be a part of a movement that was using a pregnant woman out of wedlock. Because at that time, black people had sense. There were more people.
Right. Okay. All right.
Are you a Christian, Tati?
Yes, sir.
So when you hear that information, does it give you a pause to really start looking at what's going on?
Well, I know things, whether you was Democrat or Republican, back in the days, that the whole country was systematically racist. And
that's not what I asked you. When you hear that information I just gave you, does that give you a pause to start digging a little deeper for the truth?
Okay. I'll give you that. I will pause and I will research your information and look into it.
Yeah, all I ask is that you look into it, man, because once you believe a lie, it's hard to believe the truth again. And so you need to pull away from the black thing or the white thing and just start looking for yourself. It's going to blow your mind.
Okay, that's not. I appreciate it. I will look into it.
Yeah.
Yes, I promise you, I'll look into it.
Okay. Were you born in Georgia?
Can you quote me some more links, resources? What will you say I need to? What's the name of your program again? Let me write it down so I can research it.
Okay. Uncle Tom. It's a documentary about all the stuff we just talked about, called Uncle Tom the documentary. And where can he find Uncle Tom?
Uncle Tom.
Oh, UncleTom.com.
UncleTom.com.
Yeah.
Okay. I will check it out.
Yeah.
I promise you I will check it out.
And let me know what you think, all right? Once you do that.
How, just email you or something?
You can call me back on the show here.
Okay. All right. Will do.
And
UncleTom.com.
Yeah, UncleTom.com. Let me ask you
Yes,
this.
sir.
You were born in Georgia, right?
No, I was actually born in New Jersey.
Oh, I thought you said you were born in Georgia. You were a little boy
No,
in
no.
Georgia, and the KKK were marching down your street, and your mama crying. No, I'm playing.
Well, no. I was born. I came down to Georgia for kindergarten, and I went to preschool. When my first things I can remember was preschool was in New Jersey, and I went to what's called kindergarten in Georgia.
Oh, okay. Have you ever heard of Eufaula, Alabama?
No.
Have you heard of Tuskegee?
Yes, I heard of Tuskegee.
I was born down in that area
Okay.
and raised down there. But T, very interesting conversation, man. I appreciate you. Call me again after you find some of this information we've been talking about. All right.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right. God bless you, man.
All right. You too.
All right.
Bye.
All right. That's all that blacks need. They need to pull away from the blackness and start thinking for themselves. Look for the real information. 400 years ago ain't now. What the? Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Just Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.